everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. We're really excited today. We have a special episode of the podcast. This is going to be a two-parter where we are talking about the best movie from every year of our lives. And it's going to be a fun exercise to see kind of what are the strongest years, what do we pick, do we have any in common? And to do that with me, I am film critic Grace Wagner, and I have Terry with me. And Terry, thank you so
Hi.
much for doing this.
A pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not just going off of the best movie from every year of my life. We're going off of the best movie from every year of your life.
Yes, Rachel was
Yes.
very generous to throw in that extra year.
Yes. So here we go. Let's do it. We did just keep this to features. So no
Yes,
TV movies, no, things like
that
that.
would have been harder.
Yeah, it would have been harder. But I mean, this is a really good group of 44 movies that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see which ones we do have in common. And I'm sure I'll have more animation than you will. But
I
but
actually
yeah,
don't have any animation,
no animation then at
which
all.
surprised me because I do
Yeah.
love because I'm such a sucker for those Disney animated films.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I went with not necessarily what was good, but what I loved
Yes.
the most.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Not necessarily the Oscar winners but the ones that I love the most or moved me the most or impactful for whatever reason, just my
Yeah.
favorite. And so we would love to hear what you think of our picks and also what you would pick for these years in the comments section or on Twitter. Make sure you join the Patreon. And let's dive in. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Starting with 1980. What did you pick?
I picked 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton, Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin,
That was
and
high. That was pretty high up there for
yeah.
me. Yeah.
I just this movie's so funny. First, I love Dolly, so the only reason I ever watched this movie was because Dolly was in it when I was growing up. I love Dolly Parton. I saw it on TV a bunch of times. But it's just so like these women, like they're suffering through work, and it's all like I'm man, very much of the time what I mean, women and people are still going through this type of situation, but it was so much in the forefront. Just the way they kidnapped their boss and become the and then run that business smartly and poor Dolly Parton. Everybody thinks she's dumb, but she's smart in that movie because she's a blonde, a pretty blonde. I
Hmm.
just think that these three women work so well together, and it's so funny. Very, very 80s though, but and that wig or whatever hairdo Jane Fonda got in that movie is you got to watch it just for that. It's
Yeah.
hysterical.
It's a really good movie, dark comedy. But I mean, especially in the Me Too era, in this, I mean,
Oh
I
yeah,
think it's
totally.
very
Yeah,
relevant. It's very
very
relevant.
relevant. Still,
Yeah.
sadly.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And the Broadway musical adaptation is pretty good. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
fun. It
good.
was a lot
Uh,
better than I expected. Very funny. And the whole thing was done by Dolly Parton. So I think that helps it, I think, with this
Yeah, totally.
authenticity.
Yeah, of
And
course. I mean,
Dolly, sometimes people forget that what a great songwriter she is.
she absolutely very prolific. But
Yeah.
she talks about how she came up with the theme for this movie, the 9 to 5, that she was getting her nails done, and she just started, uh, you know, um,
Oh, like the
rubbing her
tapping.
nails together, like tapping and rubbing her nails together. And she goes, "I got a beat," and I just started to write the words. And apparently she did this in front of Jane Fonda because they're all still friends. And Jane Fonda talks. She goes, "I don't know where Dolly gets it. She's rubbing her nails together." She goes, I got the theme. I got the song." Because they asked her to write the theme song. And she was like, "Okay, I'll try." And Jane Fonda was like, "She did it in like a few minutes. Like she
Yeah.
had this amazing song."
Well, that's a great pick. My
Yeah,
1980, I almost went with Airplane because I do think it's really funny,
it
and
is.
I almost never like that kind of parody.
Yeah,
Usually I really hate it, but it's kind of the gold standard
it is
to
the gold
make you
standard, the
laugh.
best of that type
Yeah.
of parody. Yeah.
Surely you can't be serious. Absolutely. Stop calling me Shirley.
So
It's really
great.
funny. But I think I had to go with one of the finest blockbusters ever made. I got to go with Empire Strikes Back
Oh yeah,
for my number one pick. It was such a brilliant move that George Lucas turned everything over to Irv Kershner because
totally. Yeah.
like George Lucas is great with the world building. with the concepts, broader concepts,
Yes.
even these characters and things. But he's not good at directing actors, and he's not good at making it all come together. And Irving Kershner, he was able to do that. And there's so many iconic moments in Empire
Oh,
Strikes Back. Of course, everything with Yoda
right. Yeah.
and everything with Lando Calrissian and
I am your father, you know.
yeah, when Vader is there
Oh,
he goes
it's
like
so
it's a
good.
totally white room, and then there's just like black Vader sitting there
I
at
know, it's
dinner.
amazing. Yeah, the way they popped it. Is that your
Yeah.
favorite of the original trilogy?
You know, I love the original Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's New Hope or whatever, because I do think that one is just so well calibrated. Just so like by the time that you get to when they blow up the Death Star, everybody is cheering. It's one of the most fun
Yeah.
experiences I've ever had in the theaters when they did those re-releases in the 90s.
Oh, my greatest regret is not buying the original cuts
Yeah,
when they were out. Like they weren't fixed up or anything, but they were just bare bones
yeah.
DVDs. And I was like,
I
they'll be around forever. Stupid me. Like, no, you
I
can't find an original cut. I guess you
yeah,
can if you search hard enough.
yeah, I have some despecialized editions and things, but I hang on to my VHS player because I
Oh, you
have
have them.
the
Yes.
original editions on VHS. And it was one of the last ways to watch it was the only time they released the original editions on DVD was actually it wasn't
Yeah.
even the main uh you have to go into like the special features and
Yes.
watch the it's not even the main format on one set of the DVDs. You have to go in and watch which but then you can buy the despecialized editions that people
I know people have put
made
together.
them
Like
themselves.
somebody gave my brother the set. It somehow ended up in my possession because I'm the keeper of all DVDs,
Yeah,
apparently. That he has like the special edition when they were re-released on DVD, and they don't have, I don't believe they have the original cuts on them.
no they don't.
No, and I was
There's
like,
just
oh,
there was
why didn't I get
there was
them?
one DVD release, but it wasn't the main. You had to go into
No,
the
it
special
wasn't.
features,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
but yeah, you got to have those
And
VHS tapes if you want
they're
to
still
watch.
tinkering with those movies. Even today, when you
I
hear
know.
people watching them on Disney Plus, they're like, they've
Uh,
changed who shot who first. And I was like, stop.
uh,
Stop playing with these movies, please. Like, once a movie is done, don't go back and change
yeah,
them. I can
I
understand
agree.
releasing a director's edition for a special anniversary or whatever. This was my vision and the studio interrupted, got in
It
the
would
way.
just be nice
I
if,
totally understand that, but please stop doing this
well,
to
it would be
movies.
like it would just be nice if we had the option of which one we wanted to watch,
Right. But they bury that
but
and
they
like it's
don't.
some kind
Yeah,
of crime. I mean,
that's what Lucas literally made it part of selling Disney. I mean,
I totally,
selling Star
yeah. And I
Wars.
was like, please
Yeah.
stop doing
But
that.
this is a great movie. It's so
It's the
perfectly
height of
timed. It's
Star
got such
Wars.
great
Yeah.
performances. It, even from the very beginning with Luke and the that monster who has him and stringed up, and you've got Han Solo going out and fighting him, and you have everything between Han and Leia, and I love you. I know.
I know when he's put in that
Oh
crushed me as a
god.
child. I was like, no.
Yeah, and Carbonite. It's
Oh,
great.
because
So
they
I
kiss well, they weren't brother and sister then because Lucas didn't know what he was doing, but it's in the
yeah,
first movie in the original cut, right? That they share that kiss. Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill,
I can't
right? Luke and
remember.
Leia.
I can't
Yes, I think it's the
remember.
first movie, whatever it is. Because that
Yeah.
was way before he decided to make them. No, it might have been the second. I don't know. But he hadn't decided to make them siblings till the end. So,
Yeah. So, and probably one of the best reveals ever, though. The
oh,
I'm your
totally. That
father.
ending was amazing.
Oh,
It is. It's a good pick, Rachel.
it's a
Totally.
great movie. Well, what do you have for 1981?
Okay. People don't judge me, but the Clash of the Titans.
Oh, okay.
Not good. I mean, it wasn't good then. It's sort of a campy classic, but I don't know. These
I've never seen
mythology.
it. That
Huh?
one.
You
I've
had
seen the Jake Gyllenhaal one.
uh, no, the remake had the Sam Worthington.
Oh.
The Jake Gyllenhaal is the Sands of Time or whatever the video game one, I
Oh,
think.
Prince of Persia. That's the one he was
That's it.
in.
No, this is like totally 80s. It's totally 80s. And it's just, I love the mythology, and they go, and there's so many people. There's Maggie Smith in this movie. There's Laurence Olivier, like the top-notch actors that they get to play gods is unbelievable. Burgess Meredith, and it's so fun and so campy by today's standards, but it's something that I grew up loving as a kid. And because I watched it on TV, Rachel, this is so stupid. Because I watched it on TV. There's a part in the beginning of the movie where he's walking with his mother, and she is, she's bare. You see her breasts, right? And then
Uh-huh.
she nurses her child. Okay,
Uh-huh.
totally fine. But when I was an adult and finally got to see an unrated cut of this movie, I was like, "Whoa, there was nudity!" And it's just like, you ever you ever experience those movies where you've never seen them like fully cut, and then you're like, "Whoa, this was in it."
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah, or you
stupid.
you forget and then you watch it again and you're like, oh.
Right. And here's the thing. I was like, kiddos, this is a classic thing. I remember when the remake came out. I was like, come on, kiddos, let's watch this. And I didn't know there was nudity right in the beginning. And there's just this woman, doing a very natural thing. But I'm like, oh no, the little children. Because I forgot that it could be a little bit up there. So
That's funny.
it's just the stupid things that you remember with movies like that. And I think that adds to the charm of my memory of me just being completely clueless about certain aspects of this film. And then,
Well,
but it's tough.
especially like some of these classics, like your experience around watching it is really like all
Yes.
part of the whole thing.
Yeah. And that's
Whole
what
thing.
makes me, I think, just adore this movie. I was like, I was a full grown adult before I knew that. People always laugh at me. And I don't know, it's cheesy by today's standards, but
Yeah.
it's way better than the
Yeah.
remake.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Well, my 1981 continue on the Lucasfilm Love Fest because I have Raiders of the Lost Ark
Oh, yes.
is my next one. Some of
Yes.
the best stunt work ever done. I like the fact that Indy gets like beat at almost every turn of this
Oh,
movie.
yeah, totally. He's so put upon in this movie.
He loses almost all the time, which makes it like endearing and exciting to watch. And the stunt work was incredible, probably the best ever in a movie. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
right up there with, because it was so visceral and real, and when like it's getting pulled behind that truck and
So
everything and
exciting.
things like that, unbelievable. And it's just a great adventure, from the very beginning with the giant boulder, and of course I mean, both of these movies that I mentioned have the amazing John Williams score
Mhm.
and the themes and
How many
from
people were
him.
inspired to be archaeologists,
Yeah.
like, by watching this
And then we're
movie?
like, wow, this is a lot more boring than they made it seem.
I think my love of archaeology started with the indie movies too.
Yeah, I'm
And, like, I
sure.
love the research
Yeah.
aspect of it all, but it's like, it's not this. You're definitely not gonna turn Nazis or whatever, but,
No. Yeah,
it's a
and
great
this
movie.
one,
It is.
that Nazi is such a great villain, and
Oh,
then the whole
so
thing
yeah.
with the opening the arc at the end, and it's just great. It's a great movie. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to sit on indie though. Wait like another 20
Yeah. Oh, that
years.
last one. No, thank you.
I mean, it was great to see Harrison Ford. I didn't even care that he was older, but like it was not a good script.
No, it was not. It
But
was
like
at best forgettable.
I would have rather, because I love the Young Indiana. Check out the Young Indiana
Yeah.
Jones Chronicles, the TV show that Lucas messed with and made into TV movies. Did you know that?
Hmm.
Because each episode started
Oh,
with old. Yeah,
it
because
was
there.
originally going to be a movie?
No, it was a TV series, right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
6 seasons, right? Yeah. But they every week they would give, and there were always two-part episodes, whether he was a teenager or a young kid. But it would always start with an actor who played old Indiana Jones,
Mm.
remembering an adventure, or maybe sharing it with a class or whatever.
Yeah, I
And it
wish
would
they had
start
done
with him,
that
right?
instead.
And it closed with him. But when George Lucas, when it finally came onto DVD, George Lucas removed Old Indy from all those episodes, and he combined the two parts to make it a TV movie lens.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was
there's
just so crazy. They have Antonio Banderas, like a
yes,
great
yeah.
action star, a great star. He'd just been nominated for an
Oh, in that
Oscar the
movie,
year
yes,
before.
and he's
You
there
have
like
him
for
in
a
this
minute.
and like nothing. He just
Did he owe
absolutely
taxes,
nothing.
Rachel? When I watched that movie, I was like, did he have back taxes to pay? Did he have to remodel his kitchen? That he was
Yeah,
like,
it's
sure, I'll take
ridiculous.
this.
Like,
It's
how can you?
ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
it
he's there
was.
for like a hot minute on the boat and then gone. I was like, you in trouble? Did you like,
Yeah,
I owe
what?
somebody money?
Yeah.
I know, what's going on?
Are you a fan of Rachel's Reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
Well, let's see.
Uh,
So, what's your 1982?
So, Poltergeist.
Okay, yeah.
This is probably my favorite horror movie, ghost movie, possession, whatever you want to call it. Just this is so great. I love it today. I showed it to the kids, probably when they were too young. They loved it too, and it's just
Do
I
you
don't know.
think? Do you think Spielberg directed it? You know, there's all this speculation that he was
I would
actually the
say
director.
no, but I think he might have had a hand in the editing.
Oh yeah,
Because a lot of people say no, that's a myth, but it does feel like so much of a Spielberg movie, and I think that he probably helped on the editing.
I mean, he was a
process.
producer, I believe.
He was,
so
yeah, it's his
he
movie.
was
He
involved,
producing
but
it, yeah.
whether he
But
directed it,
I don't know. What do you believe?
Yeah.
Because they say no now. Because who was the director who directed that?
wasn't
was
that
he-
Toby Hooper or
Toby Hooper, and he
Yeah.
recently passed away. Yeah, and people when he passed away said no, he directed this movie, and I'm like, but was he there completely in the editing? I don't know. It's still a question mark.
Yeah. Well, my number for my pick for 1982 is one of my first is what my pick for 1982 is my first animated film that I'm going to talk about. It is The Secret of Nim. Absolutely love this movie. I love that she's such an unwilling hero. Like, she doesn't want to be doing any of this. She's shy, she's quiet, she's a mother, but she just has to save her son, and so she has to do it. And the animation is absolutely stunning in this, especially towards the end with the power of the amulet and the magic or whatever it is. I don't even know what magic it is, but it's beautiful.
It is.
I think they get the comic relief just right. It's a great story. It's can be quite scary. It's a wonderful film, and it's just really cool too when you think of it as the history of animation, because Don Bluth and his team basically mutinied from Disney and started this whole new studio and became this competition and kind of ruled the 80s. I mean,
totally, yeah.
Disney had until Little Mermaid, they
had a rough
didn't have
80s.
much, and they beat I believe it was Land Before Time beat Oliver and Company. So by the end of that era, they actually were on top of Disney. And then, of course, then the Renaissance would come. But I don't think the Renaissance would have come if it hadn't been for Don Bluth and his team. Yeah. And I actually have another one of his on my list. But I love The Secret of Nim. It is one of my top 10 favorite animated films.
What a great era of animated films, too. It's like, with a young person today, because they're so used to the new style of animation, how would they feel just watching like all that great stuff? That
I hope they would love animation.
Like, I hope they like, why does this look better? Not that everything looks great but like they really put an effort in these movies. Like,
well, what's interesting too is that, I mean, that's not just animation, but there's just so much, like there's just so many more movies being made now than ever before. There's so much content, and especially if you add in series and streaming and just everything. Like there was a year, I think it was 1987, where there wasn't a single mainstream animated film released. Not one. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Nothing. I mean, now there's something like 25 to 30 just mainstream, just animated films. Like, not even, the indies and the small, like it's it's just amazing, just in one medium, and or just in
Well,
a
I think
particular
people
genre.
have, yeah,
It
they've discovered people want to watch them.
and I mean,
Like
you
there's a
just think of
market
like
for them.
something like, I was thinking about it with something like Moana, which is very beloved, but it came out the same year as Zootopia, and in comparison to when I was a kid, way back in the day, when I was a
Right.
kid, there were no princess movies from Sleeping Beauty all the way
No,
until The Little
yeah.
Mermaid. And so I
It was a
loved Sleeping Beauty
dearth
because
of
that was the
that.
only one,
Right,
in
same.
Cinderella.
Man, Little
And
Mermaid came out and changed my life.
yes, me too, absolutely. And I don't know, I just think that things sometimes felt a little bit more special. Like even a
Yeah,
movie
it's true.
that was flawed, that wasn't a great movie, something like an Oliver and Company, that's not like a great movie, but it was the only one. And so
No, it's
you
true.
enjoyed it, I think, a little
Yeah.
bit more because that was it. Whereas here it's like, well, if there's a animated movie that comes out that's mediocre, oh, you just wait a month until the next one comes out.
It is true, but I think those that are made so quickly with not enough care kind of hurt the really good ones today because then everybody lumps
Yeah.
them up. Oh, it's crappy
Yeah.
animation or whatever.
True. I
And
don't know. It's
it
just like, I think that that's why people have some nostalgia for some of these
yeah,
films of the 80s, was because maybe it wasn't a great movie, but that was it. That was
it's true.
that was
That
the
is
family
true.
horror, like the kid appropriate horror movie for the year.
Yeah.
That was the, whatever it is, it filled that niche. And so even if you knew it wasn't perfect, you still enjoyed it because that was it. Whereas
Yeah.
now it's just like, well, I just move on to the next thing. I don't know. I just think there's difference now,
It's
but
true. That's a valid point. Yeah.
But anyway, so what you have it in for
19
83?
for 83, a movie you don't like, but Terms of Endearment.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I don't like it at all.
I know, don't read the book, Rachel. You really won't like it then.
Yeah.
I think the movie does soften the characters up a
Uh-huh.
tad. I don't know. This movie means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I grew up watching it, and then my mother did had breast cancer as well, so it meant something else to me when I was rewatching it.
I can see that.
And
I really
and
can.
I a couple of years ago, it was some anniversary. I saw it in the theaters,
Oh,
and my mother
nice.
had passed by then because my mother she went into remission. Then years later, she got cancer again and died. And then I was bawling like a mad person. There's
Oh,
not a
I'm
moment where I don't
sure.
cry because this movie just it's just
Yeah.
it's realistic to me in a way in a relationship
Yeah.
and the mother and daughter aspect and illness.
I can see
So
that. I totally can see that.
yeah, and I
Well,
love Shirley MacLaine though. So
my 83 is where I have A Christmas Story. And I know that a
yes,
lot of people
yeah.
think, oh, it's overrated, whatever. I don't care.
Oh,
I love it.
it's a classic for a
I think
reason.
I can't think of many other films that so accurately capture the experience of childhood as well as
Hmm.
this movie does.
True.
The way that Ralphie sees his parents, the way he sees his teacher, the way he sees his friends, the interactions between them, the and I do think that for the most part, most of the jokes really do pay off. And I especially love the whole scene where he beats up the bully and he thinks that his dad is gonna kill him. And then his mom fudges it over.
I know,
And
it's so
things were
great.
different
Like
between me and my mom after that.
that kid deserved it. He lost his mind. I do. Yeah, you're right though. It like you when you rewatch that, you're like, I get it. I feel like a kid again. When
Yeah.
you watched it as a kid, you could relate, and as an adult, you're like, I remember that.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I
Yeah.
remember just thinking like, why doesn't anybody understand? And I feel like that's
Right.
Ralphie. Like it seems so
Yeah.
obvious to him. Why doesn't anybody else get it? And then when Santa finally tells him, you'll shoot your eye out, and he's like, no.
Everybody's telling him that, and he doesn't know why. And I
Yeah.
love how he does almost at the end, but it's okay because he'll be like the dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a like I
I
would
shot
totally
my
have
eye
done that.
out.
No, he didn't. Like it was the
Yeah.
dogs, and I love that.
And a lot of people didn't like the Broadway adaptation, but I like it. I like the songs, and I think
Did
it's
you like the live version that they
I
put?
did. good.
I
I know I'm in
enjoyed
the
it.
minority, but I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I thought it was sweet.
I thought I did too. I was like, this isn't bad,
Yeah.
this live iteration to make it different, making it
Yeah.
musical. I thought it was it's a sweet story.
So what do you have next?
For 1984, I have
Yes.
Romancing the Stone, the movie
Oh,
which
so
made me
good.
love rom-coms. I had to put
Yeah,
it.
it's a
I've been
great pick.
rewatching it since I was a kid. I think the first time I ever saw it was I was probably 7.
Yeah,
On TV, because
it's so funny.
we were
It's
children who were
yeah.
not allowed to go anywhere, Rachel. So like, and the
Yeah.
thing is, my dad was out all day on a Saturday, right? And my mom would work. When she went back to work.
Was that
around
edited if it was on TV?
Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
edited on TV, but barely, because it's not really that. It's not really that much of it.
It's
not
like an
really
80s
watchable.
R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very tame by today's standards.
Yeah.
So it was barely. And my mom would come home, like she would work on Saturdays because she just went back to work, and so it would be like half a day. So my sister and I would just sitting there alone. We'd watch cartoons and then we watch movies because we couldn't leave the house. That's
Yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
guys, it was totally okay to leave kids like
Yeah. No,
alone
it's
at that.
true.
My sister was a teen, so
Yeah, I know I had a lot of friends who were, what do they call
and it was a
latchkey?
different era.
Latchkey
Yeah,
kids.
it was a different era. It was like my mom's like, "You're not stupid. Don't touch the stove. Don't open the door to strangers, and don't go outside." And we were like, "Okay."
Yeah, I think I mean, every family is different, but I think it did
Yeah.
foster a certain degree of independence, which is good.
Totally, I think
Yeah,
so too. It
yeah.
was a different era, and like Stranger Danger did exist then, but the most we were worried was not playing with refrigerators.
Yeah, I already said that.
That was a big thing. Rachel, I know we talked about it one time, but I went back and I looked at all the cartoons and I made clips of all of that. All the
that'd
be
good,
aware of like G.I. Joe, of course, the Punky Brewster episode. There's even PSAs out there. And I was
That'd be good to put those together for like a TikTok. That would be funny.
Totally. Like,
yeah.
And then I wasn't kidding. I was like, what? Because I'm trying to remember. And I do remember refrigerators being outside. And I'm like, what was the danger in this? TJ Hooker. There's a famous episode of TJ Hooker too, where he yells at a mom
really
for having a refrigerator
Punky
out
Brewster.
there. Oh, yeah. Punky Brewster was like, the kid almost died for real in that. But like, it's crazy. So that's what we had to worry about. So we stayed home to avoid the refrigerators outside because I guess we were stupid.
Well, my pick for 84 is one of the finest films ever made. It is Amadeus.
So true.
Such a great movie. And don't watch the director's cut. The director's cut is not as good.
Oh, I've never seen it.
No, it's not as good.
Stop messing with movies.
Yeah, it's not as good. But in the theatrical, I just think what it does with Salieri and building that envy and jealousy and how it just eats at his soul and
so good.
And the just everything about it is the performances, all the opera that they do, the incredible story, the incredible sets, incredible just everything. It's a perfect film. I don't know. I wouldn't change anything anything in it, including the director's cut. I would not include that. So it's amazing. It's one of the finest films ever made, in my opinion.
It's so deserving too of that Oscar win. I mean, like, I don't even care that it's not historically accurate.
No,
but it's so the build up and the way they even show the music and how it's created and all the stuff is just so great.
Yeah, especially the way they weave the story in when he's talking about Don Giovanni and his father,
how angry, upset he is when he's watching the Magic Flute.
Yes,
and he's like, like the oh no, like it's so good. It really is.
Yeah. So, what do you have for 85?
Okay, guys, I have Commando, an Arnold Schwarzenegger favorite.
Yes.
Okay, I don't care. I love this movie. He's got to, it's basically a dad who's got to save his kid, who's it's Alyssa Milano, that's right, and she's very young in this one, and she gets kidnapped, and he's got to go do crazy shenanigans, destroy a mall, steal a car, run into Ray Dong Chung, I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Uh-huh.
And you know, she gets along the whole when she misfires that bazooka backwards. So funny. There's a part too when he's at finally gets to the island to rescue his daughter. If you pay really close attention and you see he puts bombs and he's blowing up all the bad guys, if you pay really close attention, you will see the springboards that make them fly into the air go off. And it is so great when you can watch those like little forgotten things that are like erased digitally today, but it's such a charm of the movie. And guys,
Yeah.
Commando's amazing.
I haven't seen it, but that sounds
Rachel,
good.
you must.
Well,
Another movie too where there was a scene missing that as an adult I was like, what? Anyway.
Well, my 1985, I think, is a perfect blockbuster. It's Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I think this script is so smart in that it gives this basically this ticking clock that everything has to be done, you know, by the time so that they can get to that lightning strike, so they can say, you know, and then you've got the picture fading away. And so everything, it's so tightly paced, and so many blockbusters today are so bloated and so, you know, you just
So
like, oh.
long.
And this, it just keeps, I don't know, I just think it's like such a perfectly edited film. And it's, I love the whole idea of him coming to kind of understand his parents. You know, starts this getting they're almost grotesque in his eyes at
Yes.
the beginning, and then he sees them as like real people. And I think that's like a big part of growing up, is kind of humanizing your parents. I think most of us reach a point where we realize, oh, they were just trying their best, you know, they were just trying to every day.
It's true. Yeah.
And then in this case, he literally, they become, I mean, he experiences them in a literal way, but I don't know, I just absolutely love it. So that's
Yeah.
my that's my 1985. But what is your 1986?
Okay, guys. It's Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. I know what everybody's thinking. I don't care. I love this movie. You know what the great part is? I bought it on Blu-ray because for $5. And I was like, ooh, there's a director's commentary. And I was like, let's see what the director's got to say. Rachel, he narrates the whole entire movie. Okay, so Stallone comes in here, shoots up this I don't know why he shoots up. It starts crazy. He's standing right behind the Pepsi machine, like, hello, product
Oh, I
placement.
love audio commentaries. I miss them.
And he shoot up, and he's like, yeah, and he shoots this up, and look, we point at the barrel. Nothing about why he chose what he did or any of the process behind it. He just tells us exactly what we're seeing on screen, and it is hysterical.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone eats a pizza by cutting it with scissors. It's crazy what goes on. And this movie's like, it deals with like some crazy, it's like some cult killing women.
Oh,
And
wow.
all this. And his brother, listen, what's the name of that? Angel of the City is sung, I believe it is sung by Frank Stallone. I could be wrong about this. I gotta look at it. That might not be. But Angel of the City is a banger of a song. I'm gonna look it up right now because I got that on my iTunes.
I haven't seen this. Another one I haven't seen.
Rachel, I don't know if you would like it. I don't know if you would like it, but there's insanity, and I am here for that insanity. And it's just Stallone like looking. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Robert Tepper who sings Angel of the City.
Okay.
It is a banger of a song, but it is what you would expect from like an 80s cop movie that just doesn't care. Like, Cobra, his name is Cobra. Like, stop shooting people and killing them. You can't be doing this. And he's like, oh, you know, the law's the law, and I'll do it. Like, it's just classic Stallone. I just love it. I do love Stallone. But, you know.
My pick, very different than your pick. I have An American Tail.
Oh, that's a wonderful movie. Yes.
Yeah, I love this movie so much. This movie, like, I am like weeping by the end.
It's my sister's favorite too. Yeah.
They finally get back together. The Bible and his family.
But that wonderful number of There Are No Cats in America.
Yes.
And then he comes across the cat. It's so amazing. This is my sister's favorite too.
Release the secret weapon.
She's refused to watch the sequel so it doesn't sully.
Oh,
yeah.
The sequel's pretty good. It's not bad.
Well, there's like 4 of them.
It's got Jimmy Stewart in his last performance.
I think there's like 3 or 4 of them, right?
Oh, I haven't seen any of those other ones, but the last the theatrical, the official sequel.
It's the Go West is the lot. Yeah.
Bible Goes West. Yeah, it's
I
pretty
think
good.
she's seen that one, but she's like, no, I can't sully, and as kids we used to always do like the little dance. There are no cats in America. And, oops, yes, there is.
Of course, this one you got Somewhere Out There.
Oh,
Such
beautiful.
a beautiful song.
So beautiful.
And
it is a tearjerker. They're separated and
yeah,
very relatable to us because our parents were immigrants.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
an immigrant
story.
tale. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it kind of like matches, and you're like,
also, one of the first animated films that I know of that has Hanukkah in it.
Yes, right. Too.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's very sweet. Great pick, Rachel.
So what do you have at 87?
The Princess Bride.
Yeah,
it's just, this changed my life.
It's so good. I love it so much. Good.
It still holds up. I live in fear that somebody's going to be like, let's remake it.
Yeah, it's surprising that nobody's tried, to be honest.
Let us all be
seems like
blessed
the
in
kind of
that.
thing that people would try.
It does seem like, because people are mining nostalgia from the 80s and the 90s so much today, it seems like somebody would try to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they haven't. I don't know if it could be as successful. It would look I do miss the look of fantasy films in the 80s.
Also, this movie is
and it would look too clean. I think
this movie's like 93 minutes, like
perfect,
unbelievable.
It would be like 2.5 hours long today.
If they remade it, there is absolutely no way it would be 90 minutes. No way. And I just love that for that. And I know there are people, oh, it's overrated, but like I don't feel like it is, because I just feel like there's something for everybody in this movie. There's the sword fighting, and there's the adventure, and there's the romance, and there's the comedy, and there's I don't know. It just seems very like so likable to me.
Totally.
And it's a
and
perfect family movie, because I just like whatever dynamics your family is, it would have something for everybody, to watch.
And Cary Elwes, he wrote a book about sort of the making of The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Where he went around and interviewed everybody. And the audiobook actually has some of the actors reading their chapters. It's a wonderful book. Fun. Yeah, it's a wonderful book into just like how much that movie means to these actors today, and how they're happy with it. I mean, they love this movie. They love that, even Mandy Patinkin, like he loves it. He just has fun with it, like it's a great memory for them. It's a wonderful read. In a behind the scenes look, if you want to ever check that out.
Yeah, and I love Carol Kane and Billy Crystal.
Oh my gosh, yes, they're so great. He's almost dead. Not quite there. He's almost dead.
Well, my 1987, I had to go with Moonstruck.
Oh, see, this was 87 was a
tough.
Very difficult.
It was tough
year for me. So I went with the movie that I've watched the most, because I was struggling with Moonstruck. I was struggling with Dirty Dancing. And I was like,
that's a good year.
And I was like, I don't know what to pick.
I just love these two so much. And I love the script, and I love Olympia Dukakis's character and her journey with John Mahoney. And I
would have had that affair, Rachel. I'm just saying. I mean, she, in the end, she had her principles and her, and her belief or whatever, and forgiveness of her husband. That's a wonderful tale into itself. But I was like, girl, I would have just done it and never mentioned it. But that's me.
Well, but if she had,
no, I know it would have totally changed. It would have been a different type of storyline.
Yeah, because she teaches him like a lesson.
What
are you doing with these women and
like, I love you, like, what a dope her husband was too.
Yeah,
she was so good in this movie.
Yeah, I love it. Nicolas Cage.
My hands, so guys, watch Moon.
You're a wolf. You're a wolf without it. Yeah. So what do you have in 88?
I have the classic tearjerker, Beaches.
Oh, okay.
Which
they're making a Broadway musical on this.
I did not know this. I think it could work. I think it could work if they use the music, because there's so much music in this movie.
Yes, and if they do it, they better have that Brazier's number. That's all I'm saying.
Like, if they get rid of that Brazier's number, I mean, that's a great, like, what are the you do question like,
Like, what's the point? If
why did
like
that? First of
they
all,
had the Pretty
yeah.
Woman Broadway musical, and they don't have Pretty Woman in the musical.
maybe they couldn't get the rights.
Yeah, obviously.
But hold on,
They have it
that
playing at the curtain call,
oh, man,
but that's not
that's
actually part of the soundtrack. It's not part
because
of
Bette
the
Midler
cast
made that
recording.
Brazil. Yeah, Bette Midler made that number work.
Yeah.
Brazil
It's
number
like,
work.
you
It
gotta
didn't
have
need to
it.
be a banger as it did. Did you watch the Lifetime remake of it?
Oh no. No.
I did watch it. It was interesting, but it just did not have the same impact.
Right.
And maybe it was because I don't know, because it was current day when they came out a couple of years ago.
Oh.
It just didn't have the same emotional gut punch
Yeah.
that Beaches had, or maybe it's
Yeah.
because I had too much of a love that I couldn't forgive, the remake.
Yeah. Well, my 1988 pick is My Neighbor Totoro.
Yes.
This is an absolutely wonderful little animated film. It was the start of Hayao Miyazaki as far as for Studio Ghibli, and Totoro is such a wonderful character. And it's really just about comforting these girls while their mother's in the hospital. They're worried, they're sad, they're scared, and this Totoro comes and helps them get through it. And so it's a very simple movie. They go on adventures. It helps them with their grief, and I love it for that. And I love the cat bus, and I love Totoro and the little girls, and it's just a wonderful little movie.
Good pick.
Yeah. So what do you have for 89?
Another tearjerker, Rachel. It's my crying years. Steel Magnolias.
Oh, yeah, you got a lot in the 80s, a lot of tearjerkers.
I did. Another movie that I watched. Yeah. That I watched always on TV. These movies seem to always play during the weekends growing up in the 80s. You always had that one or two movies that would repeat constantly growing up. This was one of them. I did get a chance to see it too in the in the theaters, and it was wonderful to see. Also, another movie that Lifetime remade with Queen Latifah, which was interesting. So I would say that movie was interesting. But
yeah, it's not bad. That remake.
It's not bad.
I
It's
agree.
interesting. It's a different take in it, and it's quite interesting. But I love the story of friendship between all these women. The story of a mother's love.
Yeah,
and
I like that one too.
And it's like it's a great friendship movie.
The armadillo cake.
Oh my gosh, like but it is because like they have every type of woman in there. Olympia Dukakis is also very good in this movie, as is Shirley MacLaine. Like the whole cast is wonderful.
Yeah.
But they're all women from all different walks of life who form a friendship, and you just see that they're all there together. So if you really want a movie about friendship, about women, this is a good pick. Even though it gets sad, but there is a lot of there's also a lot of joy in it.
Yeah, that's a good pick. My 89, I have The Little Mermaid, of course.
Oh, yes.
And this was the first movie I ever really loved. I watched it over and over and over and over again. I would sing all the songs. I absolutely still love it to this day. I love all of the music, the Ashman Menken, incredible. I know a lot of people don't like Ariel. I don't care. Yeah, you hear people say, "Oh, she's selfish." I'm like, yeah, she's 16. She
16 lady.
and
She's
like
going through a lot.
her dad wasn't listening to her. He didn't care, and he destroys all her stuff. What is she supposed to do? You know, at that point, what does she have left? Of course, she's going to be tempted by Flotsam and Jetsam.
Yeah.
And so, and people say, oh, well, she gave up her fins for a man. That's absolutely not true. She sang Part of Your World before she met Eric.
She wanted to live outside of the water. She wanted to do that.
Yeah, she just knew that she didn't belong. And so I really connected with her, and I just love all of the characters. I love the fact that they were like, we don't care that this is in France and we have a Jamaican crab and we have a like whatever, and we have Grimsby has a British accent for some reason. Like all this stuff, but it's just it's so good. Buddy Hackett is from Jersey for some reason. It's like none of it makes any sense, but
it doesn't matter. It's beautiful,
so entertaining.
It's so entertaining, and it's kudos to my aunt. I'm going to say thank you to Tia Zinga because she gave me when we were visiting her in Canada, she gave me the VHS. And that was how I discovered this movie, how I finally got to see it. And so thank you,
Good.
Titia, for
I
changing
love
my
that.
world. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Like, look at this animation, because it really was. Because all the Disney that I had watched was the classic stuff like Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, which is my favorite, Cinderella, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until The Little Mermaid that I must see every Disney movie, since
Yeah.
then. And it is wonderful. It is. And listen, guys, the live
And
action remake is not bad.
No, it's
better
not.
than I
It was
thought.
not bad. I agree. But if it was only about the man, why, when she gets up to the surface, she's fascinated in practically everything but him? Like she's
Exactly. It
like
is more than
she's
him.
playing with those puppets. She's
It
wanting
is the
to ride
He is the
the
opportunity for her to get there.
yeah, she wants to
but-
drive the carriage thing. She wants to, like, she's dancing. She's very excited to be on the earth.
Ursula
So-
is a great villain back when villains could be
Oh,
villains.
so good. An amazing Pat Carroll performance.
Totally.
Life's full of tough choices, isn't it?
The way she's eating the shrimp and she's doing the makeup.
Yeah.
My mother was like, oh, she's torturing them. I was like, she's evil, Mom.
Pretty face, and don't underestimate the importance of body language.
So good.
And it was so insane to me that they took those parts out of the live action, because it's just like,
I
she's a
don't-
villain. This is not like
they don't
telling
have
people
villains
how to
anymore,
live.
Rachel.
She's
do not
a
have villains.
villain.
They do not have villains anymore.
Ridiculous.
They're
Unbelievable,
misunderstood, anti-heroes now. Oh,
but anyway, and also these
Great
live
pick.
action remakes, they've specifically almost always taken out the humor. In
Yes.
almost every case, they made them more serious. They made them more somber. And
But I was
yeah.
surprised the remake I didn't hate. My niece loved it, but like she was 10 when it came. But
Yeah.
but I was surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, even at the beginning,
Not bad.
I did enjoy it, the live action Little Mermaid, but even at the beginning, it's like the tears of the mermaid. They have that quote from Hans
Oh
Christian
my,
Andersen.
yes,
Like,
and I was like, okay, come on now, calm down.
They just do whatever they can to like remove the humor in these.
Justice for Ariel, guys, come on, she's a great.
Like, I
person.
am sure that this Snow White, which looks absolutely atrocious,
Rachel,
is gonna,
what a horror! Did you see the? Oh my god, the dwarfs!
So
I was
good.
like, what are they
They're
doing?
gonna make it serious. They're not gonna have Dopey being silly and the washing the hand song, or any of those.
Nightmare-inducing. Where is the color, people? Can we have color back in movies? Why are all movies so like color graded till nothing? Come on, put some color back into it.
Yeah.
And then I'm scared. I'm gonna see this movie, Rachel, but I'm gonna have nightmares. I know I am.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
What do you have at 1990?
Okay, people, don't judge me, but I picked Bird on a Wire with Mel Gibson and Goldie
I
Hawn.
haven't seen it. I haven't seen most of these action movies.
So ridiculous, this movie, Rachel. So don't judge me, people. I don't care. Okay, so basically they were in love they were a couple in the 70s, and Goldie Hawn's a successful lawyer. Yeah, I believe she's a lawyer. And she works at a firm, whatever the hell she does. But she thinks he's dead. And then she comes across a man who she thinks is him working at a gas station. And she's like, wait a minute. So she goes back. Turns out he's been in witness protection all this year because him and his best friend got in trouble selling drugs. They thought they could make a quick buck in the 70s. And he testified against the bad cops. And David Carradine, people, he's amazing. and Bill Duke are the bad guys chasing him throughout the whole entire movie. And Stephen Tobolowsky's in this movie too, and he has to go to find his old handler to see what is going on, and they go on this adventure and they're on the run and the cops are after him, and it's just stupid fun. And I love Goldie Hawn. It's amazing. It's just
I haven't seen that one, so I have to check it out. For me, 1990, I gotta go with the first comedy I ever really loved. It's Home Alone. I gotta go with Home Alone.
Oh yes, yeah.
I still think it's really funny. I think it's also really sweet. The whole thing with the old man and the bond, and I just love everything that Kevin like figures out doing alone. I love those scenes when he's like going grocery shopping and he steals the toothbrush, and all of that is so funny and charming. And I love the John Williams score, another banger from him. And totally. I saw it with my grandparents when I was on a special trip with them in California. And I remember just dying laughing. I think it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. And so I still have
it's hysterical.
Yeah. A lot of
there are some hot takes on this movie today. Like those criminals would die, in reality if he did those stuff. I was like, guys, it's a movie. I don't care how rich he is or how not rich he is. Like people are trying to figure out how much the family made and who was the breadwinner. And I was like, who cares, guys?
Well, and they are really, really mean. I mean, they're going to kill him. So
exactly, they're bad.
I don't feel that sorry for them.
They were like, "Who makes them more money to afford this house?" And I was like, "Who cares, people? Who cares?"
Well, and some people say that Kevin became the puppet master in the Saw movies.
Oh my gosh, that would have been funny. That would have been funny. Kevin really is it's still in therapy to this day, but
But what do you have for 91?
I have Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh.
I do not care. People don't judge me again.
I don't love this one.
No, again, this isn't for everybody. This isn't for everybody. But like, I do love Robin Hood. And this movie hit me right when 11, 12-year-old me needed it. So I've loved him ever since. Yeah. Like, I don't care. Kevin Costner doesn't do an accent. I don't care, people. I don't care. Christian, what's his name? I almost said Christian Bale, but it's Christian Slater doesn't either. I don't care. Alan Rickman is amazing in this movie. Mm-hmm. I will say, even though I just had complaining about don't mess with movies, there is a director's cut of this film, and I own it on I own it on DVD. It actually it adds more Alan Rickman scenes to it.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, yes, like, because and it also spoilers, there's a connection with the old witch and Alan Rickman that is a storyline that is omitted from the movie. You didn't really need it, but it's nice to see it in the director's cut because Alan Rickman is just so dastardly. He just gives such a fun performance in here. It's nice to see those extra scenes, but
I just think the movie, it kind of loses itself as far as tone goes, especially with the whole rape scene and the whole, like, it's just kind of like, what is this, a family film? Like, what's happening here?
You know what? But Bryan Adams, Rachel, really sells that song.
Yeah, he does.
Come on.
That's fair. Well, I, of course, had to go with Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, this was a hard one to choose. I was like, Beauty and the Beast, another one of my sister's favorites. Or I was like, Robin Hood.
So much. I love everything about it. I love.
So great.
I love all the songs. I love Gaston as a villain. He's hilarious.
Yeah, it's the first animated movie for the Oscar, right? To be nominated
for Best Picture when there were only 5.
Yeah. Oh, imagine that.
The animation, the music,
so good.
The story,
so good,
everything.
Did you watch the live version that ABC did?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought
it was interesting. It was interesting. I liked it. Oh man, like I was like, I gotta look it up because now I don't know if they got the costume for the Emmys of that, but they went really out with some of those
and
looks.
I really appreciated that they celebrate the animators in that special. They had the animators come up onto the stage.
Yeah.
And because these live action remakes, a lot of times they forget about they are like dismissive of the animation and the animators. So I really appreciate about that they had like Mark Henn and different animators come up and I liked that.
So, and you don't like the live live film. No. My sister and I only like Luke Evans in that movie. We only like
Yeah.
Gaston in that movie because he's so good
fun.
in that.
But
But
everything else is painful.
Ugh.
I hate it. Sorry. 91.
Also,
So what do you have for 92?
So 92, I have Sister Act.
Oh, nice.
It's just, I don't know. I've loved that.
Good pick.
Listen, I used to sing in a church choir, and I was like, can we do what Whoopi is doing up in here with that music? It's so funny because every time we sing that song at church, I was like, Hail Holy Queen. I always in my head beat it up with the, singing the version that they do in Sister Act. It's just, it's
Yeah.
bonkers. Like Whoopi has to hide out from people
That's
trying
great.
to kill her at a convent.
Yeah.
And who cares? I mean, and Maggie
Yeah.
Smith is so good in it too.
Mhm.
It's just a fun version. I haven't seen the musical on the
It's not bad. The
it's
musical.
not bad. And I know that Whoopi Goldberg is also attached to that one.
Yeah, the Broadway musical, it doesn't have any of the songs from
No.
the original. None.
No, I guess
So,
they couldn't get the rights.
It's all new, but
yeah.
it is Alan Menken, so they're like
Yeah,
solid
so-
songs. And
Solid. I'm not that fond of the sequel, but do you know Bette Midler was originally supposed to do this movie? I can't see it.
oh, really?
I can't see it. Whoopi Forever lives in
Oh,
my
that's
mind.
interesting.
It
I
just
actually
seems
like the sequel. It's
fine.
generic, but
Yeah.
like it has some great songs.
It
some
does.
great
also,
singing.
but
But
guys,
but
check it out. It's totally early 90s.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, me for 92, I have The Muppet Christmas Carol.
yes, this was a hard one for me too, to like go between those two. It's another hard year.
Yeah, I love it. Love Christmas Carol. I love the songs, of course, the story, the Muppets, Michael Caine. It's just everything. I just love it so much. So
Yeah.
okay. All right. So let's see. So we are on 93.
Mhm.
So what do you have for 93?
I have Schindler's List.
Mm,
Man, this movie got me, and so many people like I can't ever rewatch it again. It is, I mean, the performance that Ray Fiennes and
Yeah.
gives as this horrible dude, and Liam Neeson is so good in it. But like, guys, when we're doing lists of like Spielberg's best movies, and I love Jurassic Park, but I can't put this over Schindler's List. Why is Schindler's List always at the bottom? Because it's not
Yeah.
fun. It's true, but it's a beautifully shot movie, and it's important to watch because listen, the Holocaust really happened, and we're still living with many different iterations of that. Genocide is still a thing that we're living with, and we've got to learn from our mistakes so we don't keep doing this type of stupid
The girl
stuff.
with the red
you know?
coat. I mean, it's
Gosh,
just
that was so
beautiful.
painful because that's the only
Mm.
colorful moment. I know it's not like I've got a lot of whimsy and stupid stuff on this list, but I was like, I went serious with this one. 'Cause
It's a totally
wonderful.
valid pick. I do have Jurassic Park as my pick.
No, right,
Uh,
because but that was a struggle too, because Jurassic Park is just so much fun.
Well, it's so
it's
much
like
fun, and it was also so iconic in my life.
so iconic.
It was the
and
first real spectacle movie that really
yes.
wowed me, and it's the movie I've seen the most times in the theater.
Yeah.
It-
It's wonderful in the theater.
I
yeah.
just absolutely love it, and not just for it's not just a monster movie, and that's what all the sequels have gotten wrong. The sequels
so
just
true.
focus on the monsters, the dinosaurs, but it's about these characters that we love,
Yeah.
and that like
Sam Neill
I
goes
think one of
through
the
a
best
journey
scenes
here,
I think one of the best scenes in the whole movie is when Statler and John Hammond are talking about the flea
Yes.
circus.
Yep.
And eating the ice cream.
Yeah.
This is all an illusion. That's such a great, well acted scene. And so I don't know, I just love all the characters, and I love
Absolutely.
the
It's super great, and
I kind of think it's a perfect movie. I mean, there's very little
total.
that
I
would
agree with
change.
you about it. There's like so
really-
little. Guys,
But,
if you get a chance to see it in 3D, I saw it in 3D when it came out in the theater the year before in the special screening. It is so much fun to see it in
Yeah.
3D. It's
Yeah, that would be
amazing.
fun. I see it any chance I get. I will
Yeah,
see.
it's
saw
a
it.
great experience in the theater.
I saw
That's the
it
first time I ever
in-
saw it in the theater too.
Yeah, there was a drive-in during the pandemic, and this was like April of 2020. Then they did Jurassic Park, and I went and saw it, and I was like bawling because it meant
I
so
know,
much
it's
to me.
like,
This
it
movie
means
I
so much,
love
so
to be able to see it
wonderful.
after what we'd all been through,
and
you
like,
know.
and Another thing too is because the use of the puppetry for the dinosaurs, we don't get that same feel in the newer movies.
Yeah.
Who want to do clones and lotuses, and you're like, what's going on
Oh,
here? Hot
I-
take, Rachel, though, on my
unbelievable.
nephew. His Star Wars or whatever is Jurassic Park.
Uh-huh.
He has seen all the movies, he's watched the cartoons, he's read the books, right?
Uh-huh.
But he puts the third movie as his favorite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
this
mean,
one,
if you
and
want
this
the
one
third
yeah.
movie, if you want just a bare bones monster movie, it's not
Right.
bad. It's not
Yeah.
bad.
No,
But
it's not. Yeah, but he's like,
yeah, I mean,
I like
it's
the
very
third one,
much.
and I was like, really controversial.
Yeah, that is. Well, what do you have for 94?
Oh man, 14, 15-year-old me was really feeling it. And this movie was like, it understands me. It's Reality Bites. I was like, man, what a dump of a kid I was. Like, so moody. When you go back and watch this movie, I don't know, it hit something in me. When you're a teenager, you're all like, whoa, whatever. And of course, in the 90s, but well,
Yeah.
it just
No, it's a great and one of the
I
best
love Winona
soundtracks
Ryder,
ever.
and it's best and what she goes through. Like I related to
The soundtrack was so
when she
good.
calls the psychic hotline for all that advice, and the father pays for that credit card, that gas card or whatever, and it's
Mhm.
like through the roof that she's got to like try to pay it off.
Yeah. And like
And
I
all her
said,
friends,
one of the best soundtracks ever.
one of the best soundtracks. And I liked it
good.
because not everybody was put together by that age, which I think is realistic.
Yeah.
You have some
Yeah.
people who are like, and you're like, I envy you, but we're a mess sometimes. We're still learning to be adults and being on our own, like when they're out of college and stuff. And this movie, nostalgia, like really spoke to me in 1994. I was like, I feel you. And now I'm like, oh boy, man, I must have been hard to take. But
Well, I have to go with The Lion King for
absolutely
94.
another wonderful one. Yeah.
I absolutely love this movie, and I love Simba's journey, and I love the songs, the animation, everything. It's so good.
It is.
So.
It's wonderful.
Oh, there we got through the first half of this project, and we will be back with part 2. So make sure that you check that out, and make sure you check out everything going on at Hallmarkies Podcast. We got a lot of fun rankings over there. And Terry, where can people find you?
At Flurry Heaven on Twitter, talking about nonsense. So
Yeah, very good.
nothing important.
Yes. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. And please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Really appreciate that. There's the Patreon group and the merch store. And let us know what your picks would be. We'd love to hear that. And we'll have the link for part 2 in the description once that posts. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.